This is Charlie Castro. A little announcement right at the top of the webinar. This is actually Lori Graymont's webinar today. Lori, as many of you know, is the owner of Summit Assets Group. She hosts a radio show in San Francisco called Real Estate 360, which is carried on the Wall Street Journal radio network. Lori's mother has some health issues, and she's going to be out for the next couple of days with her mom. And so Lori asked me to sort of stand in and be Lori today. So I've just reviewed this PowerPoint and the information contained in it within the last probably 4 or 5 hours. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through the PowerPoint, and then we're going to take questions at the conclusion of the webinar. If you look to the right of your screen, you have a dashboard. Just down below it says questions. Just hit that little button, and then the screen will pop up. You can type in your questions. Now, any question that I cannot answer, I will get back to you electronically within, say, by tomorrow morning. I'll have those questions answered for you, but I'm going to do the best that I can. Typically what I do is I do a piece at the front end of this that talks about the state of the real estate industry. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to stick with the financing piece and some options that Lori's come up with. As many of you know that have been on my webinars for the last couple of years, you know that the number one question that I get asked, far and away the number one question is there financing available? And we've looked at finance opportunities. I'm actually talking to another non-recourse lender now. Still doing some due diligence there, but so far it looks pretty positive. Lori has come up with a number of different avenues to provide financing, if that's what you're looking to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the PowerPoint, sort of talk about some of her options for you. And again, I'll take questions at the conclusion. If you're not familiar with who Summit Assets Group is, Summit Assets Group is an innovative real estate firm. They really look to provide quality cash flow properties to investors. When I say investors, that's categorized as anyone that wants to buy one to institutional investors who we work with. Just put several contracts or several of Lori's homes under contract this past week. I think we did 6 homes this past week with institutional buyers. But generally, Summit Assets Group is designed for that individual investor looking to take advantage of the opportunities in the real estate market, but just doesn't have the skill set to identify a property, do the rehab to a property, rent the property out, collect the rent from the tenants, all those things that go into being a owner of investment real estate. They do that. It's actually referred to now as an REO specialized company. So Summit Assets Group would be considered an REO specialized company. And I will tell everybody, most of you have been on my webinars in the past. I've done several hundred of these the last couple of years. I work with a number of groups around the country. I only work with people that have a long list of credentials that have been successful in this space. I will tell you that Summit Assets Group is one of the most reputable specialized REO groups anywhere in the country. They also do provide a note investment for those investors who want to be in real estate. They don't want to actually own it. I had a client of mine that's been on these webinars frequently for the last 12 months, just sort of kicking tires. He made a decision last week to go with Summit Assets Group, just become essentially the bank, just providing dollars at a rate of return. If anybody has any interest in how you can participate in that note program, just give me a call. We can talk about that as well. Summit Assets Group, we talked about a reputable group since 2009, over 1,400 homes bought and sold, and that says a whole lot. They've had a lot of success in this space. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to talk about traditional financing, what to expect. We're going to talk about the appraisal process, because the appraisal process has changed significantly since the housing bubble burst. We're going to talk about some non-traditional methods, which is essentially non-recourse lending. We're going to talk about using IRA funds to purchase real estate. And then finally, we're going to talk about private money as well that's available. Okay, so we're going to start with traditional lending. This is just a traditional loan. Lori does have sources with these folks. Your goal should be to try to figure out, what is your strategy? What do you want to accomplish? What are your goals? What's your cash position? That sort of thing. Once you do that, then we can better advise you as to what's the best avenue for you to take. But traditional lending just simply looks like this: 20 to 25% down. Got to have a 39% debt-to-income ratio. You need to have 6 months reserves. Arm's length transactions essentially mean we can't be involved with you, and you can't be involved with us. So it's got to be completely third party. It's got to be an arm's length transaction. And then what to expect. You submit your documents, and there will be questions. Don't try to bend the rules or take shortcuts. Lenders today, as most of you know, are pretty stringent with regards to giving out loans. Now, that is loosening up quite a bit actually, but still, traditional lenders are going to be very particular about the paperwork that you submit. So don't bend the rules. You need 2 years of tax returns personally, or if you own a business, you'll need 2 years of business returns. You'll need to have a source of all your large deposits. We need to be able to identify where the money's coming from. And then what value is real? Okay, appraisals are sent out to the third party. These will be appraised. If you do a traditional loan, it's the appraised value that's going to matter and how the lender is going to view that particular piece of property. And that's, I'll go into that in a second. The appraisers bid the work. The cheapest may not always be the best. They may be from outside areas, not know the intrinsic values of a neighborhood. That can be risky. There's a lot of reasons why you can get an appraisal now that's not accurate. That's one of them. Used to, we had a 1 mile rule. That was the rule. The 1 mile rule just essentially means that they're going to appraise homes within a 1 mile radius of the home that you're looking to buy. That's no longer the case. Now it's more like a 5 mile rule. Now what does that mean? It means because you've got a larger radius to do comps on, you're going to have a higher likelihood that you're going to have foreclosures and that sort of thing. Not all sales are on the MLS. We've talked about this many times. Most real estate being purchased today is being purchased by these institutional investors. We talk about Blackstone a number of times. The institutional investor in this country has committed $9 billion with a B to buy single-family residences since 2013. So what does that mean? That means it's all off market. You can't do it. You don't know what all these homes have been selling for. You may have 5 homes in your neighborhood that sold in the last 6 months, and not one of them were sold to someone that's going to be owner-occupied. It's going to be sold to an institutional investor who's going to then rent it out and use it as a cash flow vehicle. And you need to, so you probably need to plan on more than 20 to 25% appraisals in this day. If you rewind what occurred in the mid-2000s, you had appraisals that were going out and they were appraising properties above value. And they were giving people loans at low interest rates. And that was creating cash flow. The problem was when the housing market burst, all of a sudden the banks got stuck holding properties that they had mortgages on $400,000, for example, and the house is only worth $250,000. So appraisals these days are very, very strict. So plan on more than 20 to 25% down if you're going to use a traditional type of a loan. Delayed financing is your second option. This is option number 2. Can you refinance? And I'll just kind of walk through that, how that sort of works. You can refinance for up to 75% of the value, up to 4 properties you can refinance. It does make sense to pull out cash of a higher value property and pay cash for lower price homes. I'll give you an example in a minute what I mean by that. But let's just say, well, I'll go to that slide here in a few seconds. Finance properties most often need to be fixed up. Absolutely. If you're going to finance something, it's probably going to need some rehab work. That's why it's called delayed financing. I'll go into that again in a slide here. So you buy the rehab property, needs repair, you fix it, you refinance it. You've got to fix it and refinance it within 6 months of acquisition. At the rehab value, that's delayed financing. Here's an example. So you own this home in San Diego, and you owe $100,000 on it, and the property's worth $500,000. So you borrow $375 against that house. You take $275, you pay cash for 3 Georgia properties. So you buy 3 houses for the money that you borrowed out of that property. You only have 1 loan instead of 3, and you've got a good cash-on-cash return on your investment. Another example, you buy a home like this for $82,500. You rehab it at $76,000. Your after-repair value is $105,000. So you paid cash for it. You rehab it with your own cash. It's worth $105,000. You can finance 75% of that. You can take $78,000 out of that house. So you're only out of pocket, 10 grand. Not 12 grand. So you pay cash for it. You pay for the rehab, the after-repair value. You'll know what that is when you go in. You'll know that if you're buying something at $82,000, you know that after you repair it, it's worth X. And then you do the delayed financing, and you take that out. And again, you have to do that within a 6-month period of the completion of the rehab. Some other options, and I won't spend a lot of time on this, and I'll just give you an invitation. We'll be doing 2 more webinars with Brian Davis with AccuPlan in the next 2 weeks. And that schedule's a little bit squirrely right now because Lori's schedule is a little bit uncertain. But we'll be doing 2 webinars with Brian Davis with AccuPlan, and Brian does a very thorough job of walking you through the different options of what you can do with your self-directed IRA or your 401k plan. We'll do that one in a few minutes. Okay, now private lender. Now this is a private lender that Lori would provide. This is somebody that she has people within her community of investors that will finance a private lender. Now, they'll only do 50%. So 50% of the purchase price is what they'll put up. So if the home's worth $100,000, they're going to finance $50,000 of it for you. They charge you 5 points up front. So you're going to get charged 5 points. By the way, that is not a bad rate at all for private money. That's actually a darn good rate on points. It's 10% interest only. It's a 3-year fixed loan at 10% only, and then it adjusts in year 4 and 5. So in years 1 through 3, you're paying 10%. Year 3 to 4, you're paying 11%. And year 4 to 5, you're paying 12%. And there's a balloon payment on that balance at 5 years. So just to walk you through that again, a private lender will loan you 50% of the purchase price. They'll charge you 5 points. There'll be some attorney and title insurance costs. That's typically right around $2,000, somewhere in that ballpark. It's a 10% interest-only loan. It's a 3-year fixed, and then 2 escalators in years 4 and 5 at 1% per year. And then there's a balloon on that property in 5 years. That's a private lender. Now, here's just an example of that. $90,000 home. This is a home that we actually have sold. We've sold Princeton in Morrow. So this home has been sold. But as an example, this is $90,000. You borrow $45,000 of that. You pay $2,250 in points. Your net rent will be $600. Your payments on that will be $375. And so your net cash flow will be $225 or 6%. So better than what you get at a bank, and certainly a strong option, again, depending upon what your strategy is. But these private lenders are available. Just contact myself or Lori, and we can send you the appropriate paperwork, and you can take a look at that avenue. Paying cash from your IRA. We do more of these than anything else. We do more business through third-party administrators than, as a matter of fact, going back a couple of years ago, about 80% of the transactions in investment real estate for individuals was done through 401ks and self-directed IRAs. There's actually companies out there. Guidant Financial is one of them. You can Google them and see what they're doing. But they put all their clients into investment real estate via an LLC. They set them up in an LLC. There's tax benefits. There's all kinds of other benefits to it. But most of these types of transactions have really been through some sort of a third-party administrator. Now, you can fund the whole amount from the IRA. The rent then returns to your IRA, so you're growing your IRA every month. You can do a partnership with other people, and this is where you want to attend one of our webinars with AccuPlan to learn the details of this. But a partner can be another IRA. It can be yours or someone you know. It can be your wife. It can be your brother. So let's say you've got $20,000 in an IRA, and you've got a brother who's got $50,000 sitting in their IRA. You can partner up on that. We actually did one this morning that was actually a partial cash, partial IRA, and partial self-directed IRA. Well, it was a family. It was 3 different individuals within a family. So you can do that, and I would encourage you to attend one of those webinars to learn more about how you can be creative by using your retirement account, whether it be a self-directed IRA or a 401k, to purchase investment real estate. Or you can finance with a non-recourse lender, and I believe that's the next slide. So we're going to talk about non-recourse loans. Now, 2 things on this. I've talked about this many times. Most of the non-recourse lenders that we have found, I would not recommend them. I've not had good experiences. We did a lot of due diligence on a couple of different groups, and they didn't pan out the way that we thought they might. Lori has come up with one. They're called Portland Financial. I have read the documentation, and Lori's been doing due diligence on these folks for quite some time, and she's really the expert on these folks. I've only been, again, privy to the detailed information today, but I know that Lori always does her homework and does her due diligence, so I know that the fact that she was prepared to do this webinar today and talk about Portland financing is a good thing. So here's how the non-recourse loan would work through them. So $95,000 sales price, it will be based on the appraisal. $47,000 will be the loan amount, so half of that they will loan. The fee amount is 10%. So the origination cost of $5,000, and that's about standard. I don't think that's obviously the private money fee at 5% is certainly 100% better, but 10% is still not a ridiculous number. We're not getting into hard money type of parameters here. So you're going to pay $47.50 in loan origination. You're going to have some underwriting and some processing and doc prep costs, servicing setup fees. These do not include a third-party vendor fee such as title, inspection, and appraisal. So there'll be some other fees in there. But these folks, again, will loan up to 50% of the appraised value on a home. So you're a passive investor. Just to give you some examples how that's going to look now. So here's one of our homes. This one is not available. I believe we sold this one. 3-bed, 2.5 bath, pretty typical model, built in '69, 3,000 square feet, pretty good size home. Price is $96.5 at $32 a square foot. It'll rent for $950, so it's got a nice cash flow on it. It's in a B neighborhood, which means it's low crime rate. Schools are generous. If everybody doesn't know what an A or B or C or D neighborhood is, they rate these based on a number of factors. Primarily what we look at is crime rate in schools. Those are the two key things. What are the schools like? What are the crime rates like? This would be in a B neighborhood, and that's pretty solid piece of property at $96.5. And just to give you an idea, this is what some of it looks like. Well, we're going to be doing a rehab on this. This was a rehab. We got the before picture to the left, and to the right we got the after picture. You can see the work that was done. The cabinetry was all redone. The flooring was all redone. You see again the before and the after in the bathroom. In the living room, you can see the before and after here. The brown woodwork sort of came off. Now it's been nice and painted. It looks really nice and clean. So here's how that thing kind of worked out. On that home, the paneling was replaced. There was new paint. There was new carpet, new vinyl, new appliances. They replaced the water and the electrical lines. Update the basement and the living area. There's over $35,000 in upgrades and repairs, which equates to a finished product, what you see here. Sale price is $96.5. Cash on cash return, about 8.5%. You can see all the fees that come out of that. And that, just for your own edification, if you're not familiar with the Atlanta market generally is going to show cap rates between 7 and 10. You'll see other markets where you'll see cap rates up to 12 and 14 and 15. If you're in a market if you're looking for a cash-on-cash return and you're looking to be in for a short period of time, then Atlanta might not be your perfect market. Atlanta is an appreciation market. Atlanta is a buy and hold market. Atlanta is a market that's stabilized and is continuing to grow. So that's a market you want to be in for a longer period of time. If you're looking for an in-and-out kind of thing and you're looking for a higher rate of return, there's other markets, which is one of the reasons why Lori has moved on to Birmingham, Alabama, and there's now some discussion about moving also into the Florida market. We're just trying to identify a couple of markets there that we can touch. We've got a large team in Atlanta, which means Florida and Birmingham is easy. It's only a few hours. So we've got teams there that can perform the work that needs to be done there. But Atlanta generally at an 8.5% cap rate, that's a pretty good cash-on-cash return. Now again, in Atlanta, you're looking more long-term. I would tell anybody, if you're going to invest in the Atlanta market, don't go in there on a buy and flip. Unless you're going to go in there as a holder of a note, as we talked about at the front of the webinar, where you're providing dollars for investors to buy homes, you get a simple rate of return on your money, you're in and out quickly. That's one thing. But if you're looking to get in and get out quickly, Atlanta is a buy and hold market, as I'm trying to say. There's a lot of hedge funds there, and every hedge fund is there. They're not there for a flip. They're there for a long-term buy and hold. Just to kind of recap, there's a number of different options. There's the traditional financing, 25% down, conventional loan. There's the non-traditional, which we talked about, which is the private lender or the non-recourse lender. That's generally a 50-50 sort of a 50% of investment from the lender to you to purchase that home. Then there's the partner with your 401k, you mix and match your IRA, your self-directed IRA. And then finally there's all cash. And I would say that if you have the cash to invest, unless your strategy is to invest in multiple properties, then you might want to look at a loan. In other words, if you say, I want to buy 3 or 4 homes in the Atlanta market, my strategy is long-term hold in a market that's going to appreciate and hold its value, then the financing option can be an excellent option for you. If you've got $50,000 in your 401k or self-directed IRA, I think any strategist would tell you you're better to take that, find the best investment at that number, and invest that number in the best property you can find, again, based upon your particular goals. Are you in this for the long term? Are you in this for the short term? What are you trying to accomplish? That's how you would determine what's the best avenue for you. Just some more information about Summit Assets Group. Again, been around for quite a while. Lori is a lifetime person in the real estate business, a lot of experience, business-oriented for sure, verifiable results. One of the things that's really critically important for any specialized REO group is to be able to say, I got people I can have you call and say, I bought 3 properties off this group and I'm very satisfied with the product. That's very, very important. So verifiable results. Certainly they're loyal for sure and integrity. But I know I've seen a couple of names registered. I don't know whether you're on or not, but I know there's a couple of Lori's customers on the phone. I think they would attest to the fact that Lori's office is one of the best in terms of troubleshooting issues and getting responses out to the investor that there's an issue on the property. Extremely accessible. 40 people that are employed down in Atlanta. I believe her office in San Jose employs 8. As I said earlier, they've rehabbed hundreds of homes and bought and sold over 1,400. This is the Summit Assets team. If you're wondering, I am not in that picture. I complained about that vehemently this morning, so I suspect the next time we do this deal, my picture will be in there as well. Lori is right there, dead center in the purple. That's the office staff, by the way, up in San Jose. And one of Lori's quotes, the meaning of preparation with opportunity generates the offspring we call luck. Some guy named Tony Robbins said that. So again, key thing to determine your plan, get pre-qualified, understand what you're going to be qualified to do, determine if you're going to do an IRA or whether you're going to do cash, decide on the buyer's choice or turnkey, and then just give us a call. We do free consultations, myself and Lori. So when I do these for Lori, whether I'm combining my presentation with hers, I do take multiple calls for her, and if I can't answer something, I just refer them over to Lori or to Linda in the office up in San Jose. So with that, that's my presentation. I did that pretty quickly, about 22 minutes. I'm going to leave our information up here on the screen. With regards to the funding pieces, again, if you ask a question here and I can't answer, I will respond to it and say I don't know the answer to that. But I will get that question to Lori tonight, and I will get electronic responses back on that tonight, and I will forward that to you. When you register for this webinar, we do have your email address, so we do know how to get a hold of you. But if you have any questions, there is a question button to the right of your screen on your dashboard. You just want to click in your questions there. I'll be glad to try to answer them the best I can. Okay, I do not see any questions in the queue, but I'm going to leave my contact number up there, and I'm going to stay on this line in case somebody thinks of a question or has a question. I'll be glad to answer that. Again, I want to thank you for everyone being on here today. And we do have a question here. Yeah, it's a great question. With the presence of so many hedge funds, are there still viable opportunities for the individual investor? That is a great question. And you know what the answer to that is? Absolutely. That's why investors are in this market. The institutional investor is in this market because they see a tremendous opportunity. You as an individual to look at that the exact same way. I do interface with many of these larger hedge funds, buy PD, buy stuff from us almost on a weekly basis. I have dealt with Blackstone, dealt with Colony. We put a number of homes under contract this last week with a group called Havenbrook Homes out of Atlanta. They're looking at our inventory fairly consistently. Do not feel like because they're in this that you shouldn't be. It's the complete opposite. The fact that they are in this is the reason why you should be. These hedge fund managers, folks, are smart people. These are guys that get degrees in finance and business and accounting and all those sorts of things from big universities and have plaques all over their walls because they know how to think and they haven't strategized and how to buy things and make money off them and all that sort of stuff. These are smart folks. My suggestion is to follow the trend. It does make it more difficult to get inventory, I won't lie. We've seen some price increases. We've seen price increases of probably 10% in Atlanta in the last 6 months. Another market is Birmingham. We've had one product in Birmingham now we had a product in Birmingham for 18 months, price never changed. It's changed twice already this year, and it's about to change again. So we're seeing those prices begin to go up. The other thing is the hedge fund, remember something, the hedge fund provides for you, the investor, a secondary outlet if you want to get out. That's the other beauty of it. If you buy a home, let's say you buy a home in Atlanta tomorrow, and in 6 months from now you say, Charlie or Lori, I need to get out of this now because I have a hardship, I lost my job, my kid needs money for college, or whatever it might be, you know, what do I do? Well, that's not hard. There's so many people out there looking to buy right now. You know, having a secondary market out there is actually a very, very positive thing. So now will it affect the market? Yes, the market will absolutely change because the hedge funds are in it, which means pricing will slide around a little bit. Markets will increase in value. In some ways, it will be a little bit artificial because you just got all these hedge funds buying everything. But don't forget something. One of the things these hedge funds are doing is they're buying at or above asking price. And what that means is what they're saying, well, yeah, I'm paying at asking price or at list price, but it's still way below what the true value is. See, they recognize what the true value of these homes are. So, I mean, we're doing the same exact thing they're doing. We sell them, well, we sell to both. We sell to the smaller investors, but we also sell to the larger institutional investor as well. Okay, out of the 3 areas mentioned, Atlanta, Birmingham, and Florida, what area holds the best potential for the individual investor? Okay, good question. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're looking for long-term gain, if you're looking for long-term appreciation, if you're looking for that, which is what most of the hedge funds are looking for, they're not looking to get in this and sell. That's not their game plan. Their game plan is we're buying these homes cheap, we're buying these homes at great value, we're fixing them up a little bit, renting them out. It's providing a cash flow, which is giving them a 9 to 12% rate of return. And that gives their investors a really nice rate of return and makes them a lot of money. So their goal is long-term. If you're looking for long-term, Atlanta is the best market because it's a growing market, it's a stable market. There's some pockets there. I work with Lori on the wholesale side. I didn't mention that earlier. I do help her identify properties in Atlanta. And so I see what she goes through to find the properties. But there's some pockets there that our wholesalers will tell you, these pockets have gone up 40% in the last 18 months. They were homes they were buying there for $40,000 a year ago that they're paying $60,000 for. So Atlanta's a great buy and hold market. Birmingham's kind of a combination of both. Birmingham's going up in value, it's appreciating, not at the same rate as Atlanta, but it is appreciating. But the cap rates are higher there. So your cap rates there are, 10, 11, 12%. So the cap rates are higher in Birmingham than they would be in Atlanta. The Florida market's an unknown. And there's other great markets, by the way. I have other inventory in other markets. If you're looking for just a good cash flow model, there's other markets that will hit that 10, 11, 12, 13, 14%, even 15% cap rate. So there's other markets. Florida is a market that we don't know enough about. We believe that Florida is Atlanta 3 years ago. That's what we see there. They're still getting more foreclosures on the market in Florida than most other states. The real estate values have come way, way down. They've gone from some homes, as an example, we looked at one last week. It was a $300,000 home 3 years ago that we can buy for $100,000. That's a ridiculous value. So we know there's good value there. Remember something. Any good specialized REO company will not go into a market, regardless of what that market is, unless they have their presence identified first. In other words, Summit Assets will go into that market, but I can tell you there's a process they're going through first to ensure that A, they've got wholesalers, B, they have their rehab teams ready to go and do the work that needs to be done, and then number 3, they've got property managers down there that can do a good job for the investor. So those 3 things have to be put in place before you rush into a market. You just don't want to go out there and buy a home because it's a good value. You need to make sure that you've got your infrastructure in place first. So to answer your question, they've all got good value. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're looking for short-term, you're probably looking at Birmingham or even some other markets. If you're looking for a long-term appreciation, Atlanta's a great market. We believe that there's going to be some pockets in Florida that will also be very similar to Birmingham, and that we can get cap rates of 12, 13%, and also get high level of appreciation to go along with that. And we got another question here. Do you know what part of Florida they're considered? Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, we talked about it this morning. There's 2 areas that we're looking at specifically. We're looking at Orlando, and we're looking at Miami-Dade and Broward County. Those are the areas that we're looking at first. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Again, I'll leave this up here for a few minutes, or if you wish to talk to me, you can give me a call. We're doing another one of these tomorrow at 12 noon, if you'd like to join us. And if I don't get any more questions, I want to thank everybody for being here today. and we look forward to talking to you.